Nowadays, with Call of Duty, when you load into a public match and see someone who's Prestige Master level 1000, you just don't care. But funny enough, this wasn't always the case. Years ago, seeing a high level player actually meant something. If someone was rocking the highest prestige or running around with the mastery camo in that game, you immediately knew they'd put in hundreds of hours to earn it, and it felt impressive. Now that feeling though is kind of gone. Everyone seems to level up incredibly fast, and Prestige doesn't really tell you that much anymore about the specific player. And even Mastery camos don't feel nearly as special as they used to. For a long time, I thought maybe I was just looking at the older games through rose tinted glasses and it was just the nostalgia talking. But the more I actually thought about it, the more I realized that that's not really the case. I don't think COD's progression has really gotten worse because people got older and we just missed the old games. I think it got worse because the philosophy behind it has fundamentally changed. And in my opinion, no game highlights this better than Black Ops 3. I honestly think Black Ops 3 had the best progression system we've ever seen in Call of Duty. I think BO3 got progression right in a way that modern Call of Duty still hasn't managed to replicate. And it isn't because this game just had the coolest camos and everyone misses the gameplay. The progression system actually gave every mode its own identity. With modern COD, everything is connected. Multiplayer, zombies, Warzone, it all feeds into one giant progression system. With in BO6 and BO7, you have the Prestige, which you level up in every game mode, and then you also have things like the Battle Pass. And on paper, that sounds honestly great and pretty convenient, especially if you're a player who doesn't have that much time on their hands. But that convenience comes at the cost of what made progression even feel that meaningful in the first place. So today I just wanted to talk about and discuss why I think BO3's progression system was nearly perfect and why modern COD actually decided to change it and how it's quietly affecting the way people actually play the game. So if you've never played Black Ops 3 or it's been a while and you don't really remember, I'll just quickly explain how the progression worked in that game. Instead of having one universal level shared across every mode, BO3 completely separated multiplayer and zombies. Multiplayer had its own progression with prestiges 1 to 10 and master prestige and all the weapon levels, and zombies had the exact same thing but separate. You could be master prestige in multiplayer and only maybe prestige 2 in zombies, or the other way around. Your level actually represented where you spent majority of your time. And it sounds like such a small design decision, but it made a huge difference because your progression actually meant something. When you saw someone who was master prestige in multiplayer, you knew exactly how they got there. They were playing multiplayer a shit ton. And if you saw someone maxed out in zombies, you knew they had spent hundreds of hours learning the maps, going around 100, and just mastering the mode. There wasn't any confusion. The level just simply reflected how much experience you had with the game. And for zombies specifically, this was honestly a huge step forward at the time. Black Ops 1 didn't really have a progression system, and Black Ops 2 technically did, but if we're being honest, most people still don't even fully understand how that ranking system even worked. BO3 was the first zombies game that gave players a clear, satisfying progression path. It finally gave you something to work towards every time you loaded into a match beyond just surviving longer than last game. Then Treyarch added even another layer. After reaching Master Prestige, the grind didn't stop, as this was the first game where you could actually level all the way up to level 1000. I mean, most players were never going to actually hit level 1000, but that's exactly what made it cool. It gave the most dedicated players an almost impossible goal to chase, while everyone else still had plenty to work towards. So what made BO3's progression so satisfying wasn't just that there was more levels, it was that everything felt intentional. Every grind had a purpose and every accomplishment felt tied to the mode you actually played. There is an identity attached to your account, compared to today where if you see someone who's level 1000 in Black Ops 7, what does that actually tell you? You don't know if they played multiplayer or grinded it through zombies, Warzone, or even nowadays Endgame. Someone who's Master Prestige could have easily just been grinding multiplayer and actually worked towards it, or been doing XP glitches in zombies to get to that high level. With the cross progression, the level itself just doesn't really tell that same story anymore, and that's why I think the modern progression system has lost its meaning. And aside from the main progression, there's also the modern day camo grind. Black Ops 3 was the first game to introduce a true mastery camo with dark matter. And to this day, I still think it had one of the most iconic mastery camos ever made. Modern Warfare 2019's Damascus deserves a mention because of how difficult it was to earn, but I think BO3's dark matter has something special because it was the first one we ever had. And when you saw someone using it, you immediately knew what they had accomplished. With the new modern CODs, and I think Black Ops 7 is the perfect example of this, and it kind of takes it to the extreme, there are just so many blueprint skins and event camos that honestly look better than the main mastery camo. And when the reward at the end of a massive grind doesn't even feel like the coolest thing you can equip, the motivation just naturally disappears and it makes that camo lose all of its value immediately. Another big difference isn't even the camo itself or the amount of camos in the game, it's where you had to earn it. Dark matter was strictly a multiplayer reward, and only multiplayer players could earn it. And that might sound restrictive, but I actually think this was incredibly healthy for the game. Because if you wanted the multiplayer mastery rewards, you had to play multiplayer, and it was that simple. And the same applied to zombies as well in that game. Every mode had its own goals, its own rewards, and its own identity. And it is true, if you earn camos in zombies, you could use them in multiplayer in that game, but all the multiplayer camos, especially the mastery camos, were the ones that looked the best. And you can still use those camos in zombies as well. And the reason why that's so important is because when you have people grinding camos within multiplayer versus endgame or zombies, it adds those players to the player pool and it gives a more diverse experience. Versus right now, where you're just playing people who actually enjoy multiplayer and want to go for high kill games or high streaks, so it just adds to the sweatiness that most people complain about. So where modern COD has basically created this problem is with the shared progression across every mode. And with this, it means that players will naturally always gravitate towards whichever mode is the fastest or easiest for leveling weapons, earning XP, and unlocking those mastery camos. And it happens every year. Some of the biggest zombie videos today aren't even about Easter eggs or high round strategies. They're videos showing the fastest weapon XP methods or the fastest camo grind. Older zombie titles focused about surviving longer, discovering all the secrets around the maps, and just really digging into the depth that the mode itself had to offer. While modern zombies often feels like just the most efficient place to complete your multiplayer and Warzone progression. And I want to make this clear. It's not because the players have really changed. I think honestly as players we've kind of stayed the same. I think it's just the way the game incentivizes us to play nowadays and they want us to play in this grindy most efficient way. You see it with also the shipment in Nuketown 24/7 playlists. So when players migrate to let's say endgame or zombies, it has an indirect effect on multiplayer, which I mentioned previously. But in BO3, if you wanted to level up your multiplayer count or earn dark matter, you had to play multiplayer. And that meant that the player base naturally included everyone and not just the most invested and sweatiest players. And obviously, the current day matchmaking plays a huge role, but I also think the amount of players and diversity of players that were in the player pool has a huge part to play in that as well. And one thing people almost never talk about from BO3, which I think is actually a system that would work perfectly in modern COD, is how the specialist progression worked. BO3 let you complete challenges for every specialist, and if you don't know, specialists were basically like the operators of those games, but each operator had their own special abilities. So with these challenges, you could eventually unlock gold gear that showed how much time you invested with that specific character. And the gold gear was pretty much like the dark matter of that operator and of each operator. And to my knowledge, I mean, anyone can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think any Call of Duty has really done something like this since. And it's honestly surprising because I think this would work perfect in modern COD if with each operator you had skins that you can unlock via challenges, not just through buying blueprints. And if you unlocked all the skins, then you unlock like the gold tier or whatever they had to offer in that game. I feel like that would allow the player base to actually be invested with the operators more and actually feel connected to certain operators versus nowadays where I mean, for the most part, I just put it on random and I don't even care who my operator is, and I don't think a lot of players really do. Now, to be fair, I do understand why Call of Duty moved away from BO3's system. Warzone happened and just cross progression became a huge selling point for the game, and especially with the battle passes becoming universal, it made too much sense from a business perspective. Having one progression system across every mode just keeps players engaged regardless of what they're playing. And I do understand that for a lot of players, this is a positive thing. If you're a player who only likes zombies, why shouldn't that time contribute to your overall account? It's a fair argument, and shared progression is definitely more convenient. I just don't think that convenience automatically makes it better, and I do think the negatives of having it outweigh the positives. Because when you make everything connected, you also make everything in COD feel the same. And I think you can kind of see that perfectly within BO6 and BO7. Because when you make everything connected, you also make everything feel the same. And I think BO6 and BO7 showcase that perfectly. Even when you're playing something like zombies, you still feel a little bit of endgame in there or even Warzone in there, and it's the same for each of them. You still feel a bit of zombies and multiplayer when you're playing endgame. No mode really feels like it's the distinct mode. And when people say they miss older progression systems, I don't actually think they're saying they miss grinding more or prestige or anything in specific. I think they just miss having that progression feel personal. It actually represented something. And if you were a high level or actually earned a mastery camo, it actually meant something and it gave you kind of an identity. And I truly believe this is only possible when every mode in the game stands on its own and doesn't just feed into one giant progression bar. And that's why I still believe games like Black Ops 3 did have the best progression system and honestly COD history. Not because it was perfect, because I know there's many flaws which I didn't go into this video, but because it understood something modern COD seems to have forgotten. Progression isn't just about watching numbers going up and simply earning score. It's about giving players something that actually reflects the journey that took them there, and something they can honestly even brag about. Anyways, those are just my thoughts on the current progression system in COD, and the more I thought about it, I just thought about how BO3 was, and I know even BO4 was the same, how those progression systems worked, and how good it was, really, in my opinion. So, if you guys have any other thoughts or comments you'd like to drop on the video, feel free. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.
Hard point located.
Kill him in the back.
Couches. One shot couches, he ran out, Nick.
One's gonna be in the back, I think.
Yeah, there's one on hill.
Hard point active. Got the hard point.
Got
Yeah,
couches? There might be one more. Yeah, one more couches. He's one tap. And sun. Nice. Whoever killed that guy in the back saved me. Nice. All dead. Throwing trophy.
All front.
Yo, one ran through, one got through, one pushed through.
Couches right now.
Yeah, there's one,
Yeah,
there's one in
couches
garage,
gonna
one in
swing.
Oh, where's garage? They're in the back though. Fuck.
Weak on time.
Hard point locked down. Hard
Nice.
point
Oh,
contested.
sorry, Nick.
Oh, good.
Swing. Weak.
One shot, one shot.
Outer now, outer.
Yeah, you dead back. I'm rotating.
No, he's inner now, inner.
Contesting.
Yo, I'm gonna shriek this.
Field took the hard point.
Yeah,
Actually, I'll save my shriek for P4. I'll save it for P4.
I'm in doors right now. Where you guys spawning?
Hostile.
Nick cut two. Got one. Got the other one. They're all spawning dojo.
Oh,
all
one shot,
dojo.
one shot. He's close
All
to dojo
dojo
side.
right now.
I got him.
Hellstorm inbound.
Done?
P1 dead.
The field took the hard point. Hard point locked down.
Gets me.
Hostiles have the hard point.
Oh, fuck, what? 1050.
Nick cut.
Two there.
Oh, he's
I'm
weak
behind one
P1.
dojo.
All good, guys. Rotate. Let's rotate. He went lobby stuff.
Hard point contested.
Yeah, one's dojo.
Got the hard point.
Inner step.
Hard point located. The guild took the hard point.
Yeah, he pushed hold. He pushed back hold.
I spawned new.
He's gonna be coming through dojo right now. I spawned out somehow.
Hard point active.
Yeah, I
Hard
need help
point
over
locked
here.
down.
I'm coming. Got the guy rooftop?
I'm in the back.
Poster!
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Last guy in the back. Back door. Got
Got
Yeah.
the guild right where we want him. Keep it tight. Hard point contested.
All good. I'm with the army.
You just hold armor, I got all front.
I thought I'm dead.
Nice, they flipped, watch roof.
Fuck this shit.
Got one.
Door back. He's weak. Two back door right now. One more. Close.
Dead, nice.
Good.
Yeah.
Armory one dead.
Hard
Breakers
point
break.
Let's go.
Break.
GG.
Made that look easy.
Fuck yeah, buddy.
Wow.